to this interview with Cynthia Pareja Dubin, one of our artists present on display at Alpha Gallery's current exhibition Beyond the Brush. My name is Sangati Kotak, and together we'll be going over some of Cynthia's artistic process, as well as the pieces that were graciously contributed to both our physical and online presentations. We're going to start off pretty simple. Cynthia, how are you today?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you, Sangati, and nice to meet you, and thank you so much, Alpha Art Gallery, for getting to know me a little bit and about my work.
Of course. So first, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and where do you live now?
Well, I was born in Lima, Peru, and now I'm currently living in New Jersey.
Okay. What inspired you to choose art as a career? Was anybody in your extended or primary family an artist?
Yes, when I was a little girl, I was encouraged by my grandfather because I grew up living with a lot of animals, and since a really young age, I was a dreamy girl, always wondering the meaning of the universe and just observing the nature of the world, nature. So my grandfather encouraged me. He taught me how to draw figuratively animals, and at the age of 12, I started. It were just pencil colors. So eventually, at the age of 12, I started experimenting with oils, but I still find them a little bit tricky. I still want to keep learning a little bit about it, but yeah, it was my grandfather who actually was the first person who introduced me to the art world.
I see. So I see you work with a variety of different mediums in your paintings and collages. Is there any specific reason or inspiration behind them? Behind what you choose to work with, or do you work with any other media, or are you open to exploring?
Yes, I'm always open to exploring new materials. My work, as you can see, is abstract, and I work with organic shapes that come from a personal narrative, and it has been evolving through the past 15 years. I starting as a graphic designer, so along the years when I was taking courses of art history, natural drawing, I learned certain techniques, and throughout the years I perfected my not yet perfected, but at least gotten better and knowing what I want to do. I work with acrylics. I love building collages and structures and juxtaposition of shapes and colors, and the relevance of what color can convey to the subconscious.
Okay. In your artist statement, you mentioned Vasyl Kandinsky and his theories of inner necessity as a principle of art. Could you talk more about that?
Yes, certainly. That book was introduced by one of my professors along the years through university, and it's a really short book. However, it taught me a lot about the relevance of colors and shapes as a subconscious connection between the human being and how relevant they are, and also as artists in our generation have a responsibility to convey our lives and our generations through not only through art but through music and writing. And after we passed away, our future generations will see what was going on, what was our lives back then, and I think it's fascinating.
What do you think are the biggest challenges for you, if any, in the process of creating a new piece?
Well, as you can see, I work a lot with collages, and I build pieces with my own hands. I work with watercolor paper. Sometimes I work with gold leaves, so I have to use a lot of adhesive and mediums that help me adhere the pieces on top of the canvas. So sometimes, depending on the weather, it can be a little bit challenging because certain pieces are have more texture and structure, and they are heavier. So the edges can be a little bit like not gluing perfectly. So I take good care of them, and sometimes I even add more adhesive around the edges. And I try to take good care of every single piece of my structures because everything is relevant for me. Every universe along these ecosystems, I could say, are very important for me. So that might be a little bit challenging because it's a long process. It can take several hours, several days, because I like to convey a tactile feeling of the structure. Like a lot of people tell me they want to touch it because they have a lot of relief, and and I like to use heavy body acrylic, which is once it's dry, it looks like it has like a good texture, like weight in the action. It's not like flat looking, so there's a lot of texture that I really like. So yeah, it can be sometimes challenging.
Okay. How has your background influenced your growth and development as an artist? This could be your childhood, your education, your work career, etc.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, my grandfather was the first one that encouraged me to draw what I wanted to convey visually. Also, why? Because I liked so much the ideas of Basili and conveying visually the inner necessity of creating and color. That also encouraged me as a part of my generation, and as well as a graphic designer, communicating messages and my color and shapes and messages. And that's something that is very important to me. It's something that throughout the years I have found out that it's the only thing that makes me feel alive, which is being connected by what I create. So I don't feel like I can do other things, but I don't think that the reason why I feel like the meaning of life for me is like I guess for now until now is creating and communicating visually.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, with your experience, is there any advice you would give to the people who are looking into having a career as an artist?
Yes, absolutely. I will definitely tell them to work really hard. Make the right connections, hang out with other artists. If it's art, it's like if it's visual art or music or writing or photography or film, I will definitely, it would be great to like hang out and be inspired by like even older generations or like even younger generations can be like really inspiring. Traveling, it doesn't matter that you have to travel the world. You can just walk a few blocks or like go outside and take a hike and grab your camera, and never give up, because sometimes like life can be really challenging and you can doubt yourself, and if you just go ahead and just keep working, life can be very generous.
Thank you, Cynthia. I don't have any more questions. However, if there is anything else you'd like to add that you might have thought of during the interview, anything you're working on currently, any exhibitions you're going to be in soon, feel free to share.
Yes, thank you so much, Sangati. I will say, first of all, thank you so much, Alpha Gallery. And yes, I have some upcoming exhibitions currently as well. I have a few pieces being displayed currently in the Paper Mill House at Milburn, at the Paper Mill House Gallery at Milburn, New Jersey. And then I have another display at J. Nunez Gallery in Milburn Avenue. And my future exhibitions will be at the end of the year at the same J. Nunez Gallery. So if you have time, you can just go ahead and go to the Paper Mill Playhouse. It's really cool. It's a group exhibition. It's all abstract and really, really interesting. Yeah.
That's awesome. Once again, thank you so much for speaking with us all today and sharing your insight into your creations.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you. I am very honored and happy to be here and hoping for more future exhibitions with you.
All the best.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank our NBS 2022 sponsors, the Amboy Bank, Johnson & Johnson, Magyar Bank, the Middlesex County Cultural and Heritage Commission, the New Brunswick City Center, and Merck Pharmaceutical.